Well, hey, everybody. We're happy to have everybody on the line today. We've got an exciting call tonight. We got some incredible people on the call. It's going to be fun. We're going to learn a lot. We're about a system that is really helping people change their lives. A protocol that's natural. That we get away from medicine. All kinds of good things. And I don't want to waste any time on sharing that. But I'm going to bring somebody on the line right now that I've met. Her and her husband have had an amazing journey on this protocol. They're looking 30 years younger, which is exciting, and that they're really going to give you an eye opening of what we're doing, how we're helping people, and how we're changing lives. So, Anne Marie, I am so excited for you to be on today and to tell your story and to what you're doing on how you're helping people really make a difference in their health, um, and how they're feeling about themselves on this journey. So I'm going to
Yeah,
bring Anne Marie on.
that's a great example. Thanks, Mike. Thanks so much for the introduction. And Mike has been using the same system that I've been using for some time, and he was surprised where he just kind of slimmed down. I only met Mike in his 20 pound. Is that how much you've lost, Mike? About 20 pounds?
22 now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I only knew him on the phone, and then when I first saw him in person, he was already 20 pounds down. That's just what I thought Mike looked like. I took a picture of both of us and sent it to the friend that introduced us, and he was like, "Wow, like big Mike is little like skinny thin Mike." So Mike now like completely slimmed down and saw a lot of changes pretty quickly. So I'm excited because I have two people also here to share what their experience is. So Tim had seen us on social media almost a year ago now. Tim, is that right? It's been
Yeah, it was December last year, so about
December of last
19
year.
months. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he just kind of took the leap and he bought some box that shipped to him in the mail and started using this protocol and has had some really extraordinary results. So Tim, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself? I know that I have also had a great experience with this. My triglycerides were high, even though I was a healthy, generally I thought I was a healthy person. I noticed that I dropped 2 pant sizes in about 60 days myself when I use it. Thought I was metabolically healthy. I brought my triglycerides down from 247 to 56. Triglycerides are really an important factor to watch because if you have high triglycerides, it increases your chances of stroke really significantly. So that's probably the number one metric that I like to look for in blood work to see what people have going on. So Tim, tell us what life was like before and what you found.
Well, life before was pretty sad. You couldn't enjoy life. You hurt all the time. My diabetes was out of control. The high blood pressure. Had 4 stents put in year before. So a lot of pain, aches and pains. So I started a system, and as of today, I probably lost about 45 pounds and weigh 170 now. And my goal was 175, and I passed it right by. So that's pretty cool. No medications, no diabetes now, no high blood pressure, no aches and pains. I actually went hiking yesterday in the mountains. We done 1,500 steps. Never got tired, not a bit sore. Feel like a 15-year-old kid now. So it's a big difference. So
I'm going to show what you looked like, your before picture, because I do think it's really fascinating to help get a visual of what people look and feel like as they do this. So this is what, of course, I will go out of it. So this is what Tim looked like before, in his picture, and let me pull that up for you so you can go ahead and see it. When he started on the system, Tim, do you mind sharing how old you are? Because I think it helps people to kind of see a little bit about, what age group people are in here that are having success and all age groups having success. But as we kind of start to get our first bad news blood work in our lives, this is Tim, you probably look like a lot of people your age in your before picture. This is what like people think part of aging is developing maybe a little bit of a belly and having aches and pains and being tired. And this is what you look like now, hiking, living your best life with a lot of energy.
Yeah. So I'm age 63, just retired. So, and I've actually had to drill another hole in my belt now. So I'm down to a 32-inch waist. So I just
That's
keep on
awesome.
streaking.
And I love this picture too, like the joy. You're obviously a happy person before, but just you look younger. And we see that with everyone who's using this. Once you get your insulin levels low and reverse insulin resistance, people look like they're 10 years younger. So if you can see his stats, his A1C was at 14, which is as high as the measurement goes on A1C. And now you've reversed your type 2 diabetes. Someone said last night in a call that I thought was really informative. When I started doing this 2 years ago, if you said that type 2 diabetes can be reversed, people would, I mean, they would flare up. They would be like, no, it can't. Type 2 diabetes cannot be reversed. But we've had enough of a movement that we've seen thousands of people reverse their type 2 diabetes that no one is arguing with us anymore. People are like, I heard you can reverse type 2 diabetes. It is believable, and you're one of those stories on 8 to 9 meds. So when I met him, he showed me the bag of meds that you used to carry around with you every day. If you went to visit your daughter, you would have to bring your Ziploc bag of 9 medications, and you were that guy who sat out in the morning and laid all your meds out and took them. You thought that that's what part of growing old in America looks like, and you were able to get off of all of those meds. Talk to me a little bit about how did that go? I mean, you didn't just one day start doing this and got off your meds. What was the progression?
No, I actually talked to my doctor and told him I was going to try to do, and he said just work with him, and what I did. And as I started noticing my blood sugars lower and lower, we eased off of the medicine, and within a month I was off my diabetes medicine altogether. And of course, my cardiologist is a little bit more reluctant, and my blood pressure got so low taking the blood pressure medicine, I would pass out trying to stand up. So after he saw what it was, he actually took me off all my blood pressure medicine. So uh, it's pretty cool to not have the side effects from the medicine too. You know, all those medicines have side effects.
Mhm.
So I'm just tickled to death. And you save a lot of money too, because your copay and all that medicine stuff, it adds up.
Mm-hmm. And the time that we talked about too, where people that in a month, if you are on meds, they need to check in with you every 60 days or 90 days. And so anytime you're on a med, you're constantly booking the next blood work appointment and the next reading on your blood work. And now you have all of that time back, in addition to the copays and not knowing the name of your pharmacist dog anymore, you got some time freedom from constant doctor's appointments.
Hey, Emery, hey, can I ask Tim a question?
Yeah, please.
So Tim, in doing this protocol, obviously you've probably tried other stuff, I'm sure,
Oh,
throughout your life of how to improve all this stuff. Is it, I don't know if you're like me, is it like one of the easiest things that you've ever done? Can you
it,
talk to that about how simple this protocol is?
it is, and it's more sustainable too. And like I say, with having the fiber, even if you go somewhere and you eat some carbs, it doesn't kill you like before. It's easy to stay on the diet. I said I don't get hungry all the time anymore. Monte really helps take care of those hunger pains and stuff. And like I say, I just tickled death. And when he's talking about medication too, one thing I don't miss is the finger sticks. And if you're diabetic, and you always got sore fingers, and you're always switching fingers and stuff. I don't check my blood sugar anymore. No need to. So
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, it's a great example, runs your life. And so we're going to talk about two things. I'm going to introduce Heather and Phil and let them talk about their experience. We're going to explain what insulin resistance is, some of the symptoms that you might not even be connecting with what this protocol helps with and reverses and fixes. and then we're gonna just show you how to use the system really, really simply. So Heather, you had a chance. I got to go to Ozarks and meet with Phil, and I think Phil saw my husband and I using this system while we were there, and we chatted about it later. So tell me a little bit about your story and how you started.
I met Phil last summer, and we had a lot in common. I was at a point where I had packed on an extra 30 pounds. I was weighing 168 pounds. My son was about to get married in August, and I told him that I was looking for something to help me take some weight off. We started in February. I now weigh 138 pounds. So I got the 30 pounds off. We had a wonderful wedding. Phil and I also are going to have a wedding in April.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And you had been here I think in October a year ago. And he said, well, I have a friend I used to work with, and I've been wanting to try this. Do you want to do this together? And we were a little apprehensive about it. I've tried a million things, you know.
Why would
this be
yerba
new?
mate tea and fiber
Right.
help you lose this weight that you've been carrying around when everyone's tried everything else?
Exactly. But he trusted you. You had been doing it already for a year. You assured us there was a money back guarantee. You would help us get our money back if we weren't successful with it. And so we said, why not? Well, let's try it. And like you just pointed out, it is so easy. I love it that it's not pills. I'm not a person that deals with diabetes, but I have probably borderline high cholesterol for the last 5 or 6 years now. And I'm going to get blood work in January, and I look forward to seeing my numbers. Drink 1 coffee instead of 2 in the morning, have a tea, drink balance before our lunch and before our dinner, have a second tea in the afternoon. It could not be easier. I don't get sick of the taste or the product. I don't dread taking the product. It could not be easier. And I no longer take an antidepressant. I no longer take a separate probiotic. I no longer have knee pain. We just got back from a 3-mile walk, and Phil just said a few days ago that something that I couldn't believe I didn't already know, that he doesn't know how many years he's wanted to be able to go do that. And he can talk about his own experience, but
yeah, that just gave me chills. That gave me chills when you said that, right? That
exactly, it did me too when he said it. So I mean, we could not be, obviously it's a great time of life for us. We have very young grandchildren. We travel. We want to be able to keep up with everybody. And we're excited about, you know, our new life together after losing our former spouses. And I cannot imagine not taking the product forever. So.
And Heather, you're a nurse, so you work in healthcare. You spent your career in healthcare. And I definitely see that right when you spend your life in healthcare, you get in that situation where you're handing out a lot of prescription medications and not seeing people getting better with them, kind of being a little bit of maybe a pill pusher. Sometimes it feels like.
Exactly.
And this is a connection between healthy healing. People are able to get away from meds and do that. I do want to show you, I have it queued up successfully here. I want to show you a picture of Heather's before and after. And what I love about this, because Heather, any person would look at your before picture too and just say, you know, like you look fine. You know, you look fine. When you see your after picture, you look like a vibrant athlete and you look like you are 10 years younger. When I look at you, this could be a 23-year-old person that I'm looking at kind of standing, you know, poised. I love it that you're in exactly the same posture as you are in your before and after pictures. But
and I'm a 52-year-old person. I'm older than you, Anne-Marie.
I mean, it has not been that long since you've been using it. And this is what is exciting, that you can see the transformation happen. So I love these pictures of you. These are so fun.
More importantly, I feel better. So it's really wonderful.
Nice. I love it. And And so Phil, your story has been really impactful too, and I appreciate you taking the time to share with Tim, because you have a unique situation having MS. Can you just talk a little bit about what weight loss has done? And I know you do a great job of making the connection of there's no data, there's no science that says the Feel Great system does anything for multiple sclerosis, but your own experience saw that when you address inflammation and weight, you still feel better.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, when it comes down to it, we all like to feel great, whether it's stepping on the scale and seeing the number a little less, or just not having that drag ass feeling. I tend to get that drag ass feeling a lot. And, that can come from a lot of places, whether it's carrying too much weight around, eating crappy foods, whether it's large volumes or just crappy stuff. But it really gives me that drag ass feeling. And on top of that, with my MS, so MS is different for everybody. My big problem is mobility. It starts with my right hip, and my lower body just doesn't have the strength that it has at certain times of the day. Because with MS, you have a relapse. So like this morning, I'm feeling great. We just went and did a 5K walk. And when I'm not feeling great, I can barely walk 100 yards. My neurologist has told me don't ever submit to a sobriety test because you look like you're drunk. Well, it turns out that the National MS Society published this little paper. It's a study they did about calorie restriction. So it's kind of like intermittent fasting. And I sort of, I saw it and started reading it. And what they had talked about in it is that people that restrict their calories at certain times of the day, like in the morning, for example, they don't have these relapses, or their system doesn't go into shock mode. So I was like, wow, that's interesting. Because with my relapses, they always happen in the afternoon. And, I've heard all kinds of different reasons. Well, it's muscle fatigue after you've done like 5,000 steps. So I was like, wait a minute, there's something to this. I've had MS for almost 20 years, but it never occurred to me that it's tied directly to eating.
Yeah.
And I had this article. So what I started doing is creating a little test. So in my house, a flight of stairs, if I walk up and down it in the morning, up and down the single flight of stairs, I can do it in about 40 seconds, just at a good pace. But later in the day, especially after I eat, and that's what my little scientific study is showing, it'll take me closer to a minute to climb the stairs. And with, Heather was talking about our walking that we're doing. I used to run marathons and ultra marathons back in the day when Anne-Marie and I were working together. But starting about 10 years ago, my MS caught up with my running, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Especially with the walking, and I just couldn't do it because I was stumbling a little bit too much. But it occurred to me that, wait a minute, in the mornings, I'm feeling so much better and can walk really well before I start eating. But now that we're on this calorie restriction or fasting in the morning, I started taking notes and seeing how long. So we walked our 5K this morning in just under an hour, which is just unheard of compared to. And so I'll have to try that tomorrow, but I'll eat a bucket of fried chicken first.
Just for science, the name of
Right,
science.
exactly. Yeah, so that's where I'm at, and we're going through the whole thing. And I'm sort of anti-sales. When Emery and I worked together, I was in sales, and I'm just not into that.
And when Phil says sales, he was like the top sales guy, like in the country. So he's like, oh, I hate sales. Like he was really the top guy, like anywhere on the planet for sales. So it is
that's
ironic.
Yeah, but it's the whole MLM thing and trying to push something. We were much more curious or interested in passing this on to friends and relatives, but it's a hard balance because the stuff really works, and I don't want to suddenly be like the Amway salesman, because a lot of people hear that and they're like, suddenly, oh, I'm not interested. So that's why we're trying to work into it, and we've got, Heather and I decided that we sort of have a little theme, the Heather Phil show. One is that our goal, and I've had this for a long time as my goal, but the goal is to have more fun every day than you had yesterday,
I love it.
just to continue to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the next is to be the first one to smile in any situation.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a lot of good stories we can tell leading up to Feel Great or using Feel Great, especially on our little walks that we're going on, and how it's really turning us into much happier people. You know, not like we had that big of a happiness problem before, but it really is. It's just putting our frame of mind has gotten so good.
I love that too. And that's part of it's called the feel great system because people feel well. There's science behind it too. As you heal your gut, your microbiome, people feel better. I know Mike Butcher, we were talking about that too, where one of the things you notice is you're just happier. You treat people nicer. It's easier to interact with people. It's easier to smile. Phil's nickname is Smiling Phil. Smiling Phil. And so I love that your goal each day is to smile, be happier than you were the day before. That is great. I love it. So would you, Tim, would you mind just explaining how to use the system? I think having newer people just talk about like, what do you do? What is when we're saying the system, it includes two products. I happen to be ready to make mine, so I'm just gonna maybe have you walk through. I'll be like your Vanna and explain
Yeah,
what
I
you're
just
doing.
take a bottle, open the package, dump it in. I always do mine the night before that it kind of dissolve a little bit, shake it up good in the morning, and just sip on it all morning. I'll do in the morning. I'll do one around lunchtime, and then my big meal in the evening, I'll do my balance and half a bottle of water, shake it up, and drink it real fast, and eat your meal. I mean, it's real simple.
Mhm. Can be similar in that. So this is come in these little sachets like this. This is the balance and then the yerba mate. So the two products, so Mike, yerba mate is one of the products, and I think you're comfortable talking a little bit about it. It's in Argentina. Talk a little bit about what you know. Tell me what you know so far about yerba mate.
Well, I do know that it's really high in chlorogenic acid, um, which is obviously really good for your body. The tea for me, which I found it's a great way to curb the food noise. I don't know anybody on here that's a snacker, right? That likes to snack. This is a great way to put something in your body for 3 or 4 hours, however long it is in the morning, and feel like you're still getting nutrition and all the benefits of the chlorogenic acid and the theobromine, which is theobromine, I think it's called
Romaine,
for
yeah.
for energy and your mental capacity, which is very important at our age, the older we get. But it's just a really simple thing to feel like you're eating, but you're not eating, and to keep you busy until you get to lunch.
Mm-hmm. And there's science behind this. We actually have a lab at BYU, a professor, Dr. Ben Bickman, that has gone into his clinical research environment and published a study on this, where one of the things he found was that people using this specific Unimate, they decrease their hunger basically by 70%. So 70%, they can see the difference in it. This product has more chlorogenic acid and less caffeine than anything else there's nothing else like this on the market. It has 10 times chlorogenic acid of anything else out there. And what chlorogenic acid does, it gives you that focus. So Phil's talking about how like when you have MS, you also have, in addition to what is happening on your body, you just have you get difficulty focus, which is something that we run into at any age, anything we have going on. What this does is it helps you really focus. So people with ADHD that have a little bit more of that scattered personality, this just helps you like streamline, get focused on what you're doing. Tim, anything else you want to say about the focus that comes from Unimate or your experience with some key factors in?
Yeah. So in my original interview, I was talking about brain fog, and I struggled bad with my blood sugar being so high. It was hard, and now my focus is like incredible. And I told a friend of mine yesterday, I felt like somebody took me out of my old body and stuck me in a 15-year-old kid because I got all kinds of energy. My brain just runs overdrive. And now I'm tackling stuff I put off for 10 to 15 years. Didn't feel like doing it, didn't have the desire to do it. And now I just can't stop.
Mhm.
So the focus is incredible. And the
Yeah.
happiness in your life.
The happiness of focus, because Tim was kind of saying this is a joke that we have amongst people that are using the Feel Great system, is that they're like, why am I repainting this room? And every time I talk to Tim, he's like, I'm on this project with my boat. And you find yourself that you kind of can't stop with these projects because you have this focus, energy, and drive. The things that built up in a pile, your to-do list pile for many years, that you're like, get to it someday. Him's just like whipping through all of these projects that he's been looking at for the last 10 years. And every time I talk to him, he's like, I just, I just fixed my boat. I just did this. So this is a common thing that we hear about Feel Great as well. I don't feel, and Heather, do you have any experiences like that too, where you notice this increased focus or energy with the Unimante?
It's a great, it really does. I mean, it's hard to describe it. But that's actually, you describe it in a good way, but it does, it just kind of, I mean, one of the things I've noticed is taking away the food noise makes it so much easier to concentrate on whatever else I'm doing.
Mhm. So you don't have to worry about, like, you don't have to be thinking about food all the time. And then balance is this fiber. The fiber has been around since the late 80s. It was developed by UC Davis. And this Rexall drugs they were looking for an alternative to statins, the cholesterol medication. They knew that fiber brought people's cholesterol down naturally. They developed a product. They worked with UC Davis. They put a patent on it. They put it on the shelves. And just no one bought it off the shelf. They required some explanation, which is to Phil's comment. That's why they ended up going to a direct sales model, because people didn't walk into Rexall drugs. This would be like your Walgreens or your CVS. And they didn't see it on the shelf and say, oh, I'm going to use this because I want to lower my cholesterol. They had associated fiber with constipation, bowel movements, getting your gut in line. But what this product was really developed for was a replacement statin. So you take this is like your statin. This is like metformin, if you know what metformin is, type 2 diabetes. And when you put these things together, it behaves in your body like the injections, like the semaglutide injections, Ozempic, Mounjaro. So these things together make a replacement for that. Heather, we brought up anxiety medication. We see lots of people talking about how once they start feeling better, it takes place of their anxiety meds as well. And then the fiber is like it's like you have a coupon for TJ Maxx or Target for 40% off your carbohydrate that you eat that day. So say you have a pizza, when you put balance in front of it, you get a 40% carbohydrate discount. That piece of pie is going to be 40% less of a problem for you when you do that. We do teach people there's something about food order. I don't know if someone wants to talk a little bit to that, but when you prioritize protein and change your food order, you also get some significant benefits as well. Heather, have you guys started experimenting a little bit with food order? If you have your fiber first, you do protein, a healthy fat with that, and then you save a carbohydrate. So carbohydrate is like bread, pastas, cereal. I mean, try and lose cereal, but you take your rice, your potato. If you have that at the end of a meal, it's going to reduce the spike in carbohydrate significantly.
We definitely try to focus on breaking the fast with protein and fats. Our meals, it's wonderful to not have to worry about a morning meal, not have to be thinking about snacking all the time, kind of know the structure of your eating. We have not yet saved our carbs for the end of the meal. We get excited still about, okay, what are we going to have for our light lunch? What is going to be our dinner? And like I said, we break the fast with hopefully a protein or a fat, not a carbohydrate. But the beautiful part too is if we want to go indulge in something, like you mentioned early, or, we still do that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't have to completely change everything that you're doing. This is really simple. Yeah. And
so Emery, when you're describing balance, one of the problems is you describe it and you say, well, fiber, and everyone's like, oh, no, I'm getting too much fiber. did they get turned off when you say the word fiber? But I know there's other things like you said, natural statin. It gives you more of a filled up feeling. But what's the best, simplest, 2 sentence description of balance that you like to use?
So it's a 7 blend fiber. What your gut microbiome likes to eat, the good guys in your gut, they like to eat plants. I know that there's a carnivore movement out there. History has repeatedly said that the gut just likes to be fed plants. So when your gut is fed plants, it grows, it asks you for more good stuff that you put in it. So it literally reprograms what you want to put in your body. And I feel like the fiber maybe gets a boring rap. It seems people kind of think of like the old people in the nursing home having prunes. What fiber does though, as we heal leaky gut, we really coat that lining of our gut. It helps us to digest food better. It helps us to feel overall. So if you are having normal bowel movements, you feel better. When your things are moving in your body, you just feel better. And with the carbohydrate, helping you with carbohydrate absorption really is key. And that's part of why people don't have to massively change their diet. They can still keep eating the junk that they were eating before, honestly, and still get results with this because of the balance.
So what's slowing down the carbohydrate absorption? Is it the fiber itself, or is there something else in the balance that slows it down?
It's the fiber itself is what slows the
Okay.
carbohydrate absorption.
Okay, so and then eating something like the proteins first, it's going to just take longer to absorb all the carbs because it's working on the proteins or fats first.
Yeah. And
Okay.
even if you don't have balance, if you put your protein before your carbohydrate, even without the feel great system, you're still going to see advantages to that. That there's a scientist, the glucose goddess on Instagram, that shows you how food order makes a difference
And even Emery, I kind of call it discipline, or discipline in a packet, right? Because once you take it, you just really don't eat as much. I mean, to keep it simple, if you take this before you eat, you just won't eat as much.
Yeah, it definitely helps you to, it helps with a different approach on that. Let me give you, Phil, to answer kind of one of your questions, like, tell me more about this before and after. So this is the science that she does, this glucose goddess, and she just talks about, like, if you have the protein, so this is like ceviche shrimp, and then you have rice and then a mango, this is what's going to happen to your blood sugar. But if you put the mango and rice first and then have the protein last, you're going to see a more steep, same exact, just a different order that you eat it in is going to help you control your blood sugar.
So I want to do this at home. My glucose test is like, you got a finger prick. I mean, is it a common thing for people to do? Because I love seeing that curve, and trying to understand.
Yeah. Well, so now the CGM, the continuous glucose monitor, you can rent those or whatever, for a couple months. They have some specials where you can put them in and you can watch it all the time. You can also just you can go on Amazon and get something to prick your finger with, like $15 and start measuring your blood all the time. People like to see what's going on as they learn about their body with the glucose monitors.
Well, when you said that yours went from whatever 250 to 50, was that just from your blood work at your doctor, or did you actually do a finger prick?
You were talking about triglycerides.
That was a triglyceride.
Yeah, that was my triglycerides. So that's blood work. Yeah, triglycerides are blood work. But Tim was a type 2 diabetic, so he was taking his blood, his glucose, and when I say blood, he was taking his blood sugar readings throughout the day.
And yeah, I've seen blood readings close to 500, and some getting them below 200 was almost impossible, even on the diabetic meds. And after 2 or 3 weeks, it just started going down. Quit the meds, and everything's back to normal. And now it's 60, 70, 80, 90. I mean, it's great. And you can feel the difference when your blood sugar gets above 100. It's that you just feel anxious. And I don't have that feeling no more. And talk about the fiber, the gut health. Used to eat and you always felt bloated and afterwards and stuff. I don't have that no more. And
Mhm.
also find myself instead of craving that bad stuff, I crave good stuff. I'd rather pick up a handful of black olives and chew on them would a candy bar these days. So I think it really retrains your body what it wants to.
Mhm.
Perfectly said, perfectly said. Well, so I appreciate everyone talking. Is there any final words that you want to leave people with about your experience? I guess we didn't talk exactly about insulin resistance, what insulin does in the body. Insulin is your fat storage hormone. It's also called like the love handle hormone. So if your insulin is up, you're storing fat. You're growing skin tags, you're growing, different things. Cells are expanding when you have insulin. In order to contract those cells, what we do is we reduce our insulin. If you keep your glucose down, anytime you have glucose in your bloodstream, you eat something, glucose goes in your bloodstream, that signals your pancreas to release a hormone called insulin. And insulin's job is to go unlock the cell so that the glucose can go in and provide it energy. And what happens is, as we're bombarded constantly, the cell's constantly bombarded with insulin because we're eating more and more glucose, the cells start to not respond. It's like if your phone is ringing all the time, someone calls and yells at you, the next time you don't answer the phone because you just don't want to hear that. So the cell stops answering the phone. And when insulin comes, it's not unlocking that cell. So instead of the glucose going into the cell, it's staying free form in the bloodstream, which is what type 2 diabetes is. But your body knows that it wants to protect itself. It wants to protect its brain from sugar, your brain from sugar, because that's Alzheimer's, that's dementia. And it wants to protect your liver and your organs from this sugar. So what it does is it quick stores it. It stores it as fat. The fastest place to store this glucose is in your liver. This is why 50% of all cases of people going to the emergency room are for fatty liver. We have, children that are testing now for fatty liver, which we used to see in long-term alcoholics. Now we have 12-year-old kids showing evidence of fatty liver. This is because this is where our body quickly stores that sugar. So what we do when we're intermittent, we're skipping breakfast, we're getting our glucose levels down, we're not releasing as much insulin, our body still needs that energy. And so what it does is it goes to the liver and it goes to our love handles and it pulls that stored sugar in our liver. It's stored in the form of glycogen. It pulls that stored sugar out of our liver and starts using that for fuel. And so this is how you unload a fatty liver, is by using the system, by intermittent fasting, getting your insulin levels low, by getting your glucose level low. So that's kind of the science behind glucose and insulin. And once your insulin levels are low, that's when, like you saw Heather, that's when Heather, Tim, Mike, everyone starts looking 10 years younger. It helps to age backwards when you start getting those levels low.
Yeah, and Anne-Marie, I can tell you, everybody that I have introduced this to, they are having amazing results. Now, one of the keys is you got to follow it, right? You just can't take the packet and then go eat 5 Big Macs. But if you follow the protocol and you do it as simple as it may sound, we're seeing some incredible results and some very happy people in doing that. So I'm super excited about where our future is with this and the amount of people that we're really going to help.
Great. Agreed. Yeah. So if you are on and you're listening to this and you're listening to this as a recording, please go back to the person who sent you the recording, because they have a discount code. So you'll be paying the same price that we're paying, which is $5 per day for this system. And they can give you their link that will give you the discount for life on that system. It comes with a 90-day money back guarantee. So you have nothing to lose. So let's say try it, it's not for you, no worries. You just call, it's a happiness guarantee. You don't have to have blood work to prove it. But if you do stick with it for 90 days, you will see an improvement in your blood work. We even offer a discount test on A1C, which is the measurement of type 2 diabetes, because the company is so confident that your A1C will improve over 90 days. You can buy a home kit blood test that has you take your A1C at the beginning when you start and 90 days later, and you just send it in, you just mail it in, you get the results, and you'll be able to see a change in your A1C. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, Heather, Phil, any closing words or comments?
What do you tell people who choose to fast longer and have one meal a day?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. The longer you can fast, the more your body will heal itself. So if you can do an extended fast, you win. How I do, like if let's say I'm going to do a 24-hour fast or one meal a day, I'm only having dinner. What I just kind of set out when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I'm not eating today. I just tell myself like, no need to worry about planning your meals because you're not eating until dinner. And so then I start if I do a 24-hour fast, sometimes I'll have 3 Unimates. I might start my morning with warm salt water to make sure I have enough electrolytes throughout the day. And then when I get to my meal, my one meal, I'll prepare balance, and then I'll have a meal and I'll break my fast with protein. I also do a 48-hour or a 78-hour fast a couple times a month. And when I do that, what I found works the best for me is because I'm used to skipping breakfast. I have lunch, I'll have that lunch, and then I'll skip dinner. And then I wake up the next day being like, I'm not eating anything today. So that whole day I'll go without having any meal at all. I'll do probably 3 Unimates, some salt water. And then the following day, I'm used to skipping breakfast. I'll break my fast that afternoon of the next day. And people, work your way up to it. If you've never intermittent fasted before, create a 13-hour, 14-hour, 15-hour window and just extend it slowly over time until you're ready to jump into the 24-hour fast or the 36-hour fast. It feels
Yeah, and can I say by the tea, like you were saying, Emery, with the tea, this, if you're extending your fast, it actually, the tea with the energy and the focus actually helps with a workout while you're fasting too. You don't lose that energy when you're working out, even though you haven't eaten. Because I know I play racquetball in the afternoon and it's 2 or 3 hours and I haven't eaten anything yet, but I don't notice any difference of my performance.
And I was even on the phone with one of Mike's competitors, and he said that Mike kicked his butt. So he was like, so he noticed that Mike had more stamina when he was doing the Unimate, and that he became better at racquetball. And so that helped you get your other friend on it because he wanted to not get beaten. So he's trying it as well. All right. Well, thank you so much for getting on. Thank you so much for getting on this call, and thank you so much for watching the video if you're watching the recording later. And we'll look forward to hearing if you decide to try it. We'll look forward to hearing your story and your experience as well. All right.
Awesome. All right, bye,
Any
guys.
final words, Sam? All right. Thank you so much.